Hello again, this is Ernie from Busted Knuckle Garage. When I'm not working on my truck, got a 56 Ford 351 dual quads. I'm doing odd little projects. One of them is I'm working on a small little compressor for a friend that's leaking oil. So what I have is a small air compressor. It's 1.5 horsepower, 3-gallon, oil lubricated. The issue is there's a seal between the crankshaft of the air compressor housing and the electrical motor that has gone bad. Allows oil to travel through the motor, gets picked up by the fan, and makes a big mess. So what I'm going to do is show you how to replace that seal. Will be good as new. Now, I'm assuming if you have a compressor, you already know the lefty-loosey, righty-tighty rule. So I'm not going to spend an hour and a half video with you watching me remove every single screw. So I've already taken most of the screws out. My goal is just to show you how it comes apart. You have an idea when you want to tech it yourself. It's it's not a complete mystery and it's not too difficult. So it starts off with removing 6 screws out of the plastic cover. Then you remove the plastic cover, and now you can see the electrical motor, the air compressor case that has all the oil in it. But the seal is in between here, so we have to get this apart to change that seal. Like I said, it's not too difficult. There's an air line on the back side, a couple of nuts. The air line comes off. There's a C-clip on the end of the shaft that holds the fan assembly on. So I've already taken the little C-clip off, and this little plastic fan just pries off. Then there's a centrifugal switch that's held on with a single screw. I've already marked the shaft so I can get it back on the same place. Loosen the screw and it comes off. It's basically, as the motor gets going faster, it kicks out the start capacitor and kicks in the run capacitor. So that comes off. Next, the run and start capacitor are held on with a couple of nuts, one each. Take those off and then put them back on so we don't lose the nuts. Get this one off. Oh, see, we've already lost a nut. There it is. So get that one on. All right. Then there's 3 of these long, small motor housing bolts. We have to take those 3 out. Like I said, I've already pre-loosened everything, so you don't have to stand time watching me take screws out. There's 3 of them. I've already taken the other 2 out. One's on the back side and one's hidden underneath. Okay, once that is done, you can take the front cover off. It's held on with 4 Phillips head screws. And the gasket. Now realize this has about a pint of oil in it. So expect, put something underneath here. It just comes off. And then we have to get the connecting rod off of the crankshaft. So I'll spin this around and you can see the connecting rod in there. I don't know if I can make it go around. Oh yeah, there we go. So yep, that goes around. To get that off, there's no bolts holding the connecting rod to the crank pin. So all we have to do is take the 4 bolts that hold the cylinder assembly on. And as of right now, I only have 1 there. And then kind of like lift up on it and poof, it pops off right off the pin. So turn it upside down so you don't lose the piston on the bottom of it. Throw that in our box. Hope the guy didn't see that I'm working on this with. All right. And then the crankshaft itself is held on to the shaft with a lock nut and an Allen bolt. Loosen up the lock bolt and then spin out the Allen bolt. And then that'll allow us to drive this crank counterweight off that shaft. But first, 2 more bolts, 1 on each side, right here on the other side. So let me get those off. And it's nut and bolt, so nut on the bottom, Allen bolt on the top. And now this assembly is ready to come out. We've got everything off the shaft end, so we're just going to give this light tap with our brass hammer. And there we have our armature for the electrical motor and a bearing. Nice and quiet, good bearing. And then we have our crank shaft counterweight on that shaft. So now I've already, like I said, have this bolt loose now. So I'm going to just use a drift, put this in my vise and drive that straight through to release the crank counterweight from that shaft. So hold on while I do that. So I've driven off the crankshaft and the counterweight. It's a little bitty thing. Validate that your the trunnion where the connecting rod runs looks in good shape. And then this assembly should then come apart. And surprise, there's our seal. So this little seal comes off. Mine was marked TC 15357, and what that means, it's a 15 millimeter bore, 35 millimeter outside, 7 millimeter width. I found one on Amazon for about $5, and when it comes in, I'll put it all back together. Hopefully there's no need for me to show you how it goes back together, because it's just basically the reverse of how it came apart. So if you can turn a wrench, you know lefty-loosey is righty-tighty is the right way to go, then you don't need me to tell you how to put it back together. So that's all. Thank you.